and welcome to Backstage, where we have all the latest news and interviews from the worlds of film and TV. I'm Claire Gregory, and joining me this week is Sky's arts and entertainment reporter Bethany Manel.
Hiya.
And all the way in New York, we have film and TV reviewer Stevie Wong.
Hello.
Coming up this week.
What do you see?
Names, numbers.
Is people he's screwed over. People like you and me.
Should we not warn this poor lady?
What if she doesn't believe me?
If our friends are in trouble, why would they ever stay here?
You have no conception of the power they wield.
You can't do this by yourself.
I'm afraid it's time I ended this.
Let's talk about some cancellations, because a couple of big shows this week have come to an end, as it were. First of all, the Idol, the highly publicised Sam Levinson show starring The Weeknd and Lily Rose Depp. That's gone after one series. Was it even one?
Oh, no.
Certainly not too disappointed.
People didn't love this, did they? And I think it's fair to say it's been put out of its misery. You know, this show didn't work and it has now stopped.
Also not coming back after it's had 3 series now is The Great. That's on Lionsgate Plus here and stars Nicholas Hoult and Elle Fanning, and they've said no more of that. So I'm a bit disappointed about that one.
I was surprised. This was like, it just came out of nowhere. And I just assumed that, like, you know, The Great is such a beloved show from fans and also just people. When you watch it, it's a very solid series. And so for them to like take it away, I just think it's quite unfortunate. So,
it had a great energy, didn't it? Great actors, great chemistry between your two lead stars. Quite quirky, funny and unexpected. So, yeah, I mean, am I surprised it's finished? Possibly not. Perhaps it had actually just run its course after 3 seasons. It's not kind of been canned so much as it's just run its course and is going to move on.
I think that's it. So let's talk about some TV that we can watch. And we'll start off with the BBC's new thriller. The following is based on a pack of lies. Let's take a look at the trailer.
15 years ago, my husband went out to get a Chinese takeaway. He never came back.
He's not dead then.
Where the hell has he been?
Alison, this is the husband that buggered off with all your money.
Yes.
This is a 5-part series about 3 strangers who seemingly have nothing in common, but it soon turns out that they do. It's kind of a kind of dramatised version of The Tinder Swindler, which was itself a true crime doc based on a real con man. It's a drama about a con man, basically. And we have slightly differing views on this one, don't we?
We really do, don't we? Within the group. I mean, for me, I love the premise. I love the idea that a guy goes out to get a chow mein and never comes home. I love the idea this is a confidence trickster. And I also liked the kind of the more serious elements of this, because it's not super serious, is it? It's a bit of a genre merge. But I liked the idea, you know, that this was focusing on women being gaslit and abused by men and raising the point that, you know, the system is set up to kind of give the benefit of the doubt to sort of powerful men. I liked that theme. I liked the quirkiness.
Stevie, you weren't such a fan?
I think the premise is interesting. I was just not a fan of the tone, which I thought was a little bit too wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I like my revenge plots a little bit darker, and so this was not dark enough for me. But I could see
more
why
X-rated for Stevie Wong, please.
Yeah, exactly. But what did you guys think?
I liked it. I thought it was great, and I caught up with Rebekah Staton, who plays one of the leads, Alice, a woman who's the victim of a con man, and here's what she had to say to me.
Sometimes when you have a more conventional way of telling a story, we as an audience go, oh, okay, I know what this is. And you sit back and you just let it play out. And I think what we're deliberately trying to do is unsettle so that you participate. And I don't want to ruin it, but when there's a certain scene in episode 5 where Marianne's character describes what happens in the media for the male con man and his narrative and how he may end up being celebrated and the victims are tarnished and forgotten, and that really is so thought-provoking. That was certainly, I mean, I was sat there listening to it 1-to-1, which is quite a treat with Marianne Jean-Baptiste, let me tell you. But it was so affecting, and it's been edited in a really interesting way that I think people will, I hope, think differently as a result of the show.
The following events are based on a pack of lies is out on BBC One and iPlayer. Next, let's turn to the second series of The Wheel of Time, the fantasy based on Robert Jordan's very successful books. Let's take a little look at the trailer.
Together we face the impossible. But now in our separate corners of the world.
Protecting Rand, guiding him, that is the only thing that matters. You can't control him.
There's no getting around the fact that this show is complicated, isn't it? And I almost don't want to spend too much time trying to explain what's happening in this series. But safe to say, there's loads of fantasy, there's loads of magic, there's loads of action, and there's loads of gorgeous locations. But is it confusing?
I did the wheel of what now? I mean, if you didn't watch the first season like me, and I'll be truthful, fantasy isn't my bag. This possibly isn't for you. You've said it's complicated, it's got loads of characters, it's kind of got this great big kind of ethos that I had to read in to understand what the Wheel of Time and the pattern of this and the threads of that. Something I did love, though, I've got to say, Rosamund Pike is the star.
Stevie, could you fathom it?
You know, what I can say is that in season one, you know, we had this kind of adventure between 5 young villagers and this woman that comes in and says that one of them is going to save, you know, the world, and then what happens in season 2, they split everybody, and then they've all kind of gone off to their own storylines, and now we have to follow their storylines with new characters. And if we weren't confused enough in the first round, then this round we have double the people, and it's just more fantasy, more everything, more. And for some, that's a good thing. For those like me, who's a little bit basic, it's too much.
I did mention those gorgeous locations, though, and they are filming in places that they haven't really been used as film, you know, TV sets and things
Places
like that
in Prague,
before.
I think, for some of it.
And in Morocco. And, well, I caught up with one of the directors, Sanaa Hamri, and she told me about what it was like filming in Morocco as a Moroccan.
It was such a special moment for me because Morocco really has like the dunes and the desert and the water and just such intricate, beautiful topography. And that is what Wheel of Time is about, is finding great locations like the Sahara Desert or Puglia in Italy, and, you know, amazing places in the Czech Republic that reflect such a big world-building element to the story. So it's just like a pleasure to be able to be in different cultures, work with additional crew that comes from those cultures, and just creating like that great environment of a global element to the show.
The second series of The Wheel of Time is out now on Prime Video. Finally, 6 years in the making, let's take a look at One Piece on Netflix.
This is our fight. Until we find the One Piece. And become king of the pirates.
Stevie, this is one that you were flagging to us.
Yeah, I mean, because, you know, I didn't realize how huge of an IP One Piece was until I may have posted something on Twitter, and then I had the most interaction with people. I never get interaction on Twitter, and these people were like, "Oh my God, One Piece, One Piece!" And so I was like, "What is this thing?" And then basically, it's a live action adaptation of Eiichiro Oda's manga, which is called One Piece. This manga already is noted as the best-selling manga in the history of mangas, and over the past 25 years. There have been almost a 1,100 chapters of this story told. So this is a huge story for the fans. And so this first series is based on East Blue Saga, and it stars Inaki Godoy as the character Monkey D. Luffy. And he's a central character who just wants to be the king of the pirates, and he wants to find this One Piece kind of treasure that's been like out for ages and no one can find it. But see, this is interesting because we were talking about how there's so many characters in Wheel of Time, and that it was kind of too much. And here we have a show with a lot of characters, but weirdly was not confusing. And in fact, I was very open to kind of seeing what would happen to these people. I mean, it was interesting.
There's something compelling about these pirates, isn't there, Bethany?
Yeah.
Well, it certainly gave me my pirate fix. And, you know, I've got to be honest, I had not read the 1,100 manga chapters. Sorry, spoiler. But I really enjoyed this, you know. It kind of had a great energy. All the acting was spot on. I mean, there's a couple of the actors, of course, you'll recognise, but there's lots of people you don't recognise there. And it's just beautifully done, cartoonish, but not in a silly way. It kind of really believed in itself, and that came through. And I think with such big source material, there's always a danger that they're going to go a bit crazy and it's not going to work on the screen. But this really did, yeah. I think we should all be more pirate, follow our dreams, look for our treasure.
So One Piece is out on Netflix. And that's all we've got time for this week. If you'd like to hear more from the stars of the shows we've been talking about, including The Following is Based on a Pack of Lies and The Wheel of Time, then you can download the full podcast. You can just search for Backstage wherever you normally get your podcasts, or you can scan the QR code, which is on your screen now. Thank you very much to Bethany.
Thank you.
And to Stevie.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.